It's another grey, windy but really warm day here in the garden, and I finally got dug out for the foundations. Yes, it took a little bit longer than I expected, but that ground as you got deeper down, it's really flinty, very stony. It certainly takes a time. But I'll put the effort in, I've dug them out properly, and I'll give you a quick update on that now. Heading through then, I'll just give you a sneak preview of this raised arid and palm bed. As you can see, I've done a little bit more planting. I've gone for the stereotypical corks and the end of the agave there. Just while Remy's been so inquisitive, I wanted to keep him protected from that. As you can probably tell here, my main agave is Montana, which I believe is the best agave for our UK climate. I've done a video all about that. And then in the middle, while they fill out, I've got all kinds of different sedums, sempervivums. There's a few different sort of arid succulent style plants, and I've experimented with the gravel. Now, I like the sort of granite finish of that gravel, but by itself it just looks too perfect. That's not really my kind of vibe. I want something that looks a bit more natural. So I've been mixing in some more horticultural grit, sand, to really get a natural kind of finish. Over at that side there, you can see around that Cerifera palm, there's all kinds of weeds popping up. That's maybe a little bit too natural, so a balance will be found. Here, pride of place, you've got the Jubutia, a hybrid palm, and over the next week, I'll really be watering this in well. I basically just pour all the water down there, and it soaks right into the bed, and that palm should really take off this summer. But heading through, I just wanted to give you a quick update at this point. You can see I've got a trench dug all the way around, and I thought I could do this in a lot less time, but what I've done is I've tried to dig down nice and deep and get to the ground that's quite firm. So under here, this is probably the best example. You can see there's loads of clay, loads of flint, and I've found a sort of natural level, which is a good strong base. And then I'm just gonna break a load of slabs up, got a load of different stone, bricks, rubble, and really hit them into the ground. Now, if this was a bit wider, I could use a whacker plate, and I will be using a whacker plate when it comes to doing the actual floor at a later date. But what I'll be doing for these is just chucking all the slabs and rubble in, and then getting a trusty sledgehammer, you can probably see it in there in the weeds, and just pounding it down. So I've had a bit of a headache this morning. I will be waiting until later today when I've got a little bit more energy, but I'm really going to go for it and get this ready for concreting. And then the next step is to put some pegs around it, level them out, so I've got some weight of keeping the levels while I pour the concrete in. Now, one thing that I should say, if this area was closer to the road, I would definitely consider digging out my future greenhouse project and then just getting a concrete pump in that could just pump the whole lot full of concrete. And for a few £100, it really does save a huge amount of time. But as this area here is about 100 metres, well, say 90 metres away from the road, that's not going to happen. So it's all about doing it by hand. So once I've got that base chucked in today, once I've got my pegs in, everything sort of leveled up, ready to go, my next plan is to prepare this area here, move the plants out the way, and get the mixer set up, a tarpaulin, and get some of the ballast brought up this end of the garden. So that sounds simple, but it's going to be quite a task. But I thought I'd show you this progress for now, show you where things are at. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention is, it might seem really big in here. The actual wall's going to be about 3.6 meters, so 8 blocks from end to end. From that way to that way, it's about 3.5 meters wide. So it might seem quite big, but you would need to obviously allow a bit of room for the foundation either side of the wall. So I'm going for about a 300mm foundation, just to strip. The blocks are about 140mm, 6 inches, so that gives a bit each side of it. So that'll bring it in further. You then got a 6-inch block either side, so that's another foot lost overall. And then, as I actually put the benches on the side, the whole place will feel a lot smaller. But hopefully, I've got enough size to start with that it will feel like a comfortable place, still room enough to have plenty of friends around, we'll see. Now, just to address a few of the questions that I've had asked, those rocks up there, that's maybe not the final position for the smaller ones, and I wouldn't just leave them like that. But in the front here, we're gonna have the retaining wall coming across here, so those will be held in fairly well. It might look like clay, but it's actually quite sandy and stony. That will be pushed back into them. So there'll be a lot of earth going back in there, holding those in place, so they're not gonna go anywhere. The other question I've had a few comments about is drainage. Now, if I show you over here, probably gives you a better idea of what we're looking at. The soil here, it seems fairly decent till you get to about this level here, and then it gets really sandy. So if I was growing very jungly plants, this part of the garden, it won't be ideal because it drains so quickly. And below that sand, you can see you've got all the flint, all the chalk. And here, we're not actually far away from a sand and gravel quarry. So that's the main reason why I'm not especially concerned about drainage in this fire pit. Looking down there, you can see that that earth on the edge there is pretty much all sand. So it drains really well. Now, I am fully aware that if I make an area this size into purely hard landscaping, then there's going to be a greater volume of water to get rid of. So I might, when I actually dig out the centre and try to get the floor laid down, I might dig out a French drain, some sort of soak away down the middle of it, just to get rid of a bit of that extra water. But in general, we're quite lucky. What I would say is, if you live somewhere with clay soil, or maybe you've got quite damp ground, then I wouldn't dig down quite as far as this. Instead, I'll maybe dig down maybe a foot or two, have it sunk down a little bit, but then have a raised retaining wall around the outside. Because what I could have done here is actually raised up the outside to create a similar kind of effect. But on this side over here, I've tried to do both. So the fire pit is sunk down, that bed raised up there. So these spiky plants are going to look just incredible. Viewed from below, these architectural forms, they'll be towering over you, reaching up into the sky, and I think it'll look fantastic. And I think really levels, changing things, having different sort of heights in your garden, it really is important. And when you sat down here, the seating level will be something like this. You can't see the houses around. Yes, you can see the brambles heading over the fence, but you can't really see that you're in the edge of a village here, and you can be anywhere. So when you've got blue sky, you'll just have to imagine that, because there's none today. Blue sky, beautiful planting around, somewhere nice to sit, maybe a little fire pit on the go. I think this will be a fantastic place. But anyway, that's enough of the rambling today. Time to get cracking on and get this ready for some hardcore. So that's it for today's quick update. As you can see, I've now dug out as much as I can. It's been a battle, but I'm ready for the next step now. I want to get that base in, get the concrete in, and then we can really start building the walls up. So I'm excited to see actual changes above ground level. Well, above the crater ground level anyway, you know what I mean. So thanks a lot for watching these videos. Hopefully next one very, very soon, and we'll have some real progress. See you later.